Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, and I was originally going to do this review wearing my Michael Myers mask and costume, but it's early. I still gotta wipe the makeup off my face from last night. Speaking of, my scare acting job is over, unfortunately. Uh, we'll eventually see a video from some guy who went around the amusement park filming everything. But so I ended up watching Halloween Ends for a second time, and I thought, like, well, today's Halloween. It's a good time as any. So I might as well talk about it. So, uh, if you guys haven't seen my original video, I believe I titled it that Halloween Ends is CW fanfiction that's guest starring Michael Myers. And I still sort of stand by that. However, after I watched the movie for a second time, I came to realize, like, I don't really hate the ideas that they set out to do, right? Like, it is interesting that they tried to have, like, somebody else become, like, the new Michael Myers. I mean, they already tried that at the end of Halloween 4 when Jamie Lloyd killed her nanny or something. I don't know. I didn't actually see the movie. But the point was, like, after Michael Myers died at the end of Halloween 4, Jamie Lloyd was set up to be, like, the new Michael Myers, the new killer, right? And then they backtracked in Halloween 5. Or in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, they seem to be setting up that version of Laurie Strode to become a killer. Because, like, she was having all these psychotic breakdowns and having the same episodes as Michael Myers, right? So I thought at the very least she'd become the new killer if Rob Zombie ever made a third Halloween film, but we never got that. So I don't hate the idea, and it's not even like a new idea either. It's just they never really followed through with it. Or the parts where, like, Laurie and everyone are just trying to move on, but they have, like, guilt and everything. That's also a really cool, like, that's also a really cool concept to delve into, right? But the main problem, like, I mean, it kind of took a second viewing to realize this, but, like, all the anger that I had from my review, it all came down to the fact that, and I'm pretty sure that a bunch of people on YouTube alone have talked about this, it all came down to the fact that they did all of these concepts in their final film, because Halloween Ends was supposed to be the final chapter, like the final showdown between Laurie and Michael, right? And I mean, they marketed the hell out of it as, like, the final showdown between Laurie and Michael, and what we got was a love story between this new kid Corey and Laurie's granddaughter Allison, which, and a lot of other people have also mentioned, like, this, like, if Corey was introduced, like, back in Halloween 2018 with Frank Hawkins and all the other characters, like, I think this movie would have gotten a much better reception, right? Where, like, they're slowly building up to Corey, like, becoming evil. Because, I mean, that was one of the running themes of this entire trilogy, how, like, evil can infect people, right? Where, like, in Halloween 2018, it was Dr. Sartain, which I feel like they were a bit heavy-handed on it, because it was downright stupid when Sartain started wearing Michael's mask. Then in Halloween Kills, like, Michael basically infected the entire town to become rabid, to the point where they actually drove a different mental patient from Smith's Grove to commit suicide. Which, granted, I also thought that scene was stupid when I made my own review of Halloween Kills. Like, because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, the guy who ended up getting driven out by the mob to commit suicide, named Anton Tivoli, I think. That dude looks like Danny DeVito. There's no way that people would mistake him for Michael Myers. Like, at the very least, if they wanted to go that route in Halloween Kills, they should have had the original actor like Nick Castle play the second mental patient. At least then it would have made sense. Or like have just James Jude Courtney just play the role. I don't know. But the fact that because of the actor they used and because of what he looks like, the whole thing just feels stupid. And then you get to Halloween Ends where you got this Corey Cunningham character who gets infected by Michael Myers' evil, right? And well, and again, great idea, but terrible execution, especially with the fact that it's the final movie. Now, I'm pretty sure that I mentioned that back during my Halloween Kills review, that scene where like Karen is looking out of Michael Myers' window at the very end of the film, right before she gets killed. So I honestly thought that that meant that like that she would become evil or somebody else would become evil, and I remember toying with the idea of like the granddaughter Allison being in that position where like she looks out the window and like she becomes infected by Michael Myers' evil, and then like she would be the killer of the last movie. Like I still think that would have been a pretty cool concept to go with for two reasons. One, because like it would have felt like it would have been like a natural way to have like a new killer, right? Like have Michael Myers die at the end of Halloween Kills. Like the people were chanting like "Evil dies tonight" the whole time. So like, why not actually kill it, right? But then at the very end of the film, they tease that a new killer is gonna show up by having like Allison or like somebody else, like maybe even bringing Corey, like maybe have like Corey show up during Halloween Kills and like he's sort of a background character, right? Or maybe he's like Allison's boyfriend right off the bat, where where like one of them becomes infected by the evil and they become the main villain of the final film. I think that would have been like way better than like what we got, because again, like they marketed this as the final showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and we got like 2 minutes of it. I'm not even kidding. Like I just watched the movie on Peacock, and the fight scene was about like 2 minutes long. I mean, granted, it was a really cool fight scene, but it was short. Um, but yeah, in fact, like they should have done it like this. Actually, they should have had like Allison, Cameron Elam, and Corey Cunningham in like almost a love triangle, right? If they wanted to do the romantic subplot like they did in this last film, they should have had it be like had a love triangle, basically like um what Oscar was trying to do in 2018 before he got killed by Michael Myers. Well, once Cameron once Cameron died, then Corey could have seen that as his chance, right? But Allison like rejects him or something. So then he goes up to the Michael Myers house, looks through the window, and freaking sees whatever Michael saw, right? And that's when he becomes evil. And then like that stuff like possesses him in Halloween Ends, right? Or have it happen to Allison and she slowly becomes evil in Halloween Ends. I think that would have been better with just shoehorning like all of that crap into the final film. Or there is one other idea that I threw around like ever since last week, where instead they should have just shuffled the movies around, right? Have the plot for Halloween Ends take place. So I guess have it be like this kind of like running timeline where it was actually Halloween 2018, Halloween Ends, and Halloween Kills. Obviously, switch the titles around too, where like replace Halloween Kills and call it Halloween Ends instead, and like have the stuff for Halloween Ends, have that be the middle chapter, and like name it something else, like Halloween Infection or something, like I don't know, like to drive home the point of like how Michael Myers' evil can infect people, And like this, and again, this isn't a new concept, because aside from like Halloween 4 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, like this stuff was hinted at in the very first Halloween movie, where when Sam Loomis is walking with that one grave caretaker in the cemetery, the guy even mentions how, like, the dude even mentions how on the exact same night that Michael killed his sister, there was this like loving father, like, who was like loved by the town of Haddonfield and like loved by his family. He kissed his family goodnight, then grabbed a hacksaw and then just butchered them, right? So this isn't a new concept that like the evil can infect other people in the town, or like there's just something about the town in general. So this would again, this would have been a great concept to use in different films. But back to the timeline, like I think it would have been way better if the events of Halloween 2018 happened, and then like the concepts for Halloween Ends, like they use that for the middle chapter, where like somebody else becomes infected by Michael Myers' evil, and they start killing, and then Michael comes back to kill them off. And then the final chapter would have basically been like what Halloween Kills did, right? Where it brings everybody back, Michael gets to just slaughter the entire town, and then they use that ending where Laurie ends up killing Michael in his own house, since, you know, by then her house will have been destroyed. And then she pushes Michael Myers' body into that grinder. I think that would have been the perfect way to round out the trilogy and finish the franchise. But instead, what we got was Halloween Kills as the middle chapter and Halloween Ends as the final chapter. And it kind of ended on a whimper. I'm sorry, but it did. So, I guess to summarize this whole thing, like, after my second viewing, I don't hate the film. I do hate the fact that they did what they did as their final movie, because apparently from what I heard, like, Blumhouse isn't gonna make any more Halloween films. I mean, there's gonna be more Michael Myers movies eventually, but like, it's not gonna be in this timeline. Whether it's gonna continue the Jamie Lloyd storyline, or pick off from H2O or whatever. And like, to be honest, I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Rob Zombie's Halloween 3. I doubt he's gonna do it, especially since, you know, he just made the Munsters. But I wouldn't mind seeing more of his take on Michael Myers, because again, that's the one that I keep going back to. And like I said during my review of the original Halloween film, like, I mean, I know that Michael didn't kill that often in the original, but he was also always there. He always had that, like, looming presence that he just didn't have in Halloween Ends. But, again, to cap it all off, I like the ideas that Halloween Ends did. I hated the execution. And I think that's going to be the summary of a lot of people's thoughts. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. I do recommend you guys rewatch the film if you hate it the first time, just to get like a better perspective of it. And yeah, have a happy Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.